So where your left thumb is
Left
above
thumb.
that analog stick, there's two buttons,
Uh-huh.
and there's the button on the right, and you gotta hold it.
Got it.
I'm gonna send you guys some. We went to this crazy candy store.
It was so fun.
That's a pack of mints I'm sending you.
Send them the picture of all of us in the 80s.
Just hold on a second. I'll send them that too.
Oh yeah, we were dressed like the 80s.
Where the fuck are the impeachments? That's what I want a picture of. Katie bought.
Me, Mommy, and Katie were dressed in the 80s.
That's pretty cool. You know, when do a little time traveling.
Hey,
Yes.
a radio.
Okay, I'll send you those then. Here, hold on.
Mommy's gonna show you the pictures. It was so fun. My friend did this one that she was a cowboy and she had these fake guns that they were holding. And
For
there's
some
very
reason.
pictures of lots of people on the walls and things. Yeah.
Let's see if we can check these out.
Did you send it to them?
Yeah, I had to send them the impeachments first because those were my favorite, and Katie bought some.
Let's see if you can see them on the menu. Funny boat trips with your boyfriend.
A photograph that I have of Natalie Wood that when people are like, does she looks like Natalie Wood? And I'll be like, yeah. Hold on a second.
Send me a picture
And
of
I'll
Natalie Wood.
pull up this photo and they'll be like, that's Izzy, right? I'm like, no, that's not Izzy. That's Natalie Wood. And they're like, what?
We can't
They're
put
like,
this
you're
mask
lying. And I'm like, no, I'm not lying. It's totally Natalie Wood. First off, it's in black and white. My daughter wasn't around for black and white photos, but...
on. Crazy as your arm is in an odd position there. You got your hand up on the side of your head.
I probably because I was in the menu checking out the pictures.
Are you playing on your PS4 Pro?
Yes.
Nice, because the graphics look pretty clean on this one. Very sharp text. I guess you can't put this mask on. Here.
You have to look up Natalie Wood. Child.
Adult. Natalie.
N-A-T-A-L-I-E.
N-A.
It's in front of you, but it's not on you. It's got like...
N-A-T.
Oh, you did put it on. That's cool. Nice.
Mama, N-A-T. L-Y.
A-L-I-E.
A.
Oh, here's some zombie up there. It's top coming at us. Didn't we have better guns last time we were playing? Yeah, it's a
zombie game you guys are playing?
It's a zombie game. I'm out of bullets? Oh crap. Oh yeah, you have to wait, what?
Is that how you spell it?
I gotta activate the radio too.
How do you reload?
Oopsie. So
I think
that's
it's
Natalie
X.
Wood as an adult.
Oh, she's an adult now.
Shit.
It's fish food.
Right. Let's see if this still works.
She's long gone, my dear. Yes, baby.
Someone's broadcasted something, but
Then why would they say I'm Natalie Wood?
You look like her.
damn it! All right, think. I need to find another radio.
Why do I look like Natalie Wood?
I gotta get to the source of this.
It's nose, daddy, and you. Like, I have the eyes, I have the body, I'm skinny.
No, because you got, like, my little weird nose.
I don't think that's working.
Actually,
I have daddy and your nose mixed together.
these are the ones that Izzy looks like right here.
I see.
Here, I'll send
Send
it.
them.
I'll send it.
Let me see the picture.
Boom, check you out. You'll serve me well, my friend.
Wait, that
Nice.
looks like me. It's happy.
That's not you. Don't be ridiculous. That's what everybody says when they see that picture.
That looks like me. That really does. Except she's on.
Isn't there an easier way to make the doors open all the way?
I think you just click it. Stand back, click it.
There's a lantern, there's some duct tape, there's was that fix
Good
the
night,
flat?
Mom, I love you.
Can I have a kiss, beauty?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. That one.
There's some clips over here if you need ammo. I
That
have
one really
45
looks like me
bullets.
though. Does she have brown hair?
Yes, ma'am, she does.
Oh my god! And she has short hair like me.
I think she looks like you just because she's not straight white.
Mommy, baby.
Oh,
You hear that?
ricochet. Yeah, I can hear it.
Mommy.
Yes.
See if I can take him out.
Oh, crap.
Okay, but is she?
I got a bronze achievement for throwing that duck at that zombie.
I want to pick it up and see if I can do it. Oops, too far. Alright, I'm sure there'll be a couple zombies up here.
Dude, what the hell is your walking style, man? It's like you're leaning
No,
forward
it's
and
not.
squatting and walking. It
It's
doesn't
like a
look natural.
horde.
Yeah, you look the same.
Okay, I'm gonna leave you guys to your zombie game. I know, watching the game.
Well, speaking of the bastards,
Gotcha. Alright, Crystal. Good to hear you had fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then, of course, when I got up to that crazy huge house that I went to, so did I tell you how I wasn't staying in a hotel? We were staying in a friend's parents' house.
Nuh-uh. Oh, I didn't hear it.
It was fucking massive. It has a fucking
That
east
took quite a
wing
bit of
and
ammo.
a west wing. That
Nice.
has
See if
I can
different
find
ways
some
to
more of these
fucking get
cars.
to them. We stayed.
What?
Me and my girls stayed in a loft apartment, which was in the east wing. Fucking
Jeez.
craziness. It
Yeah.
was insane. And then when we left and we got in the car, we're driving away. I'm like, you guys, we did not take a picture of the fucking crazy house. We just stayed it. What the fuck is wrong with us? They had a
Now we're
shed
living the
in
moment.
backyard that I thought was a house. I'm like, oh, is that like a little guest house? They're like, no, that's just a shed. I'm like, oh.
Wow. He thought the extra house was and it's actually a shed.
Yeah, like, well, they had it fashioned to look like it was a house, so it like matched like the landscaping of the property. But it was huge,
Yeah.
and like the top portion, the roof had all these like peaks with little windows in it, and I could see like curtains hanging in the windows. So like it looked like it was a house, but it wasn't. It was a fucking shed for like lawn equipment.
Was it on like on a couple of acres or something?
Yeah, and it was it's in wine country. That's part of the reason. It's like a $2.5 million piece of property now, including her house. When she bought it for $250,000, and it had like a
Jeez.
little tiny house on it. And then she it just over time, because of the area she lives in, it's like wine country for Ontario. Like Niagara on the Lake is where all of our vineyards are. So
Mhm.
that's right where she lives. And she literally lives right on the frickin' lake. It's like, it's the most, I would have to say, the most affluent home that me and my kids have ever stayed in our entire life. And likely, maybe the only one we ever stayed in our entire life. It was cool. It was really cool because she was a single mom too. So, the other family left. That like her family left, and she was like, "Oh, you
Mhm.
can stay until you have to go," because she knew we weren't dancing until 6 o'clock on Sunday, and they were all done on Saturday. So she's like, "Oh, you can stay and hang out." And then when everybody was gone, she's like, "You're doing such a good job with your girls. It's so hard. I know what it's like." She's a really nice lady. She totally made us feel at home.
She wasn't like trying to have y'all stay there longer. She's like, I don't see my grandkids or my kids anymore, and so you're welcome to stay here for as long as you want. And you're like,
Well, no, the funny thing
And then
was
it
is
turned
like
into a
we were
Stephen
up
King
there
novel.
with her, but we were up there with her grandkids, and her grandkids
Okay.
left, and then she offered for us to stay because it wasn't originally an offer on the table, but I'm sure she needed to like figure out who we were before she was letting us to like hang out in her fucking crazy rich house without
Oh, yeah.
the baby we came with. And then I
Fred
guess
once
after
again
she like
brought all
had
his
us
friends.
hung out with us
Maybe
for
I can get
the day and a
around
half that
here.
we were there, she felt comfortable saying, "You don't have to leave at 10 a.m. with my son and his wife. You can stay with your girls until you need to leave." So we hung out with her till like 2, and we had lunch, and Izzy went and walked the dog with her, and then she went and showed Izzy the golf cart. Like, so the property's big enough that they have a golf cart to travel around it.
jeez.
She took Izzy out to the back to show her the golf cart before we left, and started her up and drove it around the property and pulled it up to the front. Yeah,
Nice.
it's pretty crazy. It was fun. It was fun. It was the only reason we got those crazy ass
belongs to the
vintage
old
pictures
Dutchman
that I
mine.
sent you.
Yeah.
Because those pictures cost you
That it has to be useful
$10 a
stuff.
person sitting
Let's check it out.
PT, and then they charge you $50 per digital image.
What?
Or they have this really awesome package where you can buy every photo they took, and it's only $300.
Yeah, that's a bargain.
right.
That's a steal.
So, listen, so I went into that place, and the people that we went with were like, "Okay, we're going to do this. I've always wanted to do it, so I'm going to go do this with my kids." So I was like, "Oh, okay, we'll do it too," thinking like, "Oh, I can handle this, right? We're not paying for a hotel. This is no problem." So then I show up and I see the prices on the wall, and I'm like, "I'm really sorry, girls." Like, I look down at my kids, I'm like, "There's no way. Like, I can't do this. like, I'm a single mom.
This.
Like, no, I can't blow we can't spend a hotel night on pictures. Come on."
Yeah.
So then my kids literally sulked around the place for like 20 minutes while our friends were getting their pictures done, and Katie kept going, "Stop looking at them, Izzy.
You know you need the key.
It's bothering me. I just want to go
Ticket
outside."
office.
Like, and they literally just sulked to the point where one of the women who's working in there said, I can do digital images. I can do a digital image for $25 if that will work for you." And I said, "You know what? That would be perfect. Thank you very much. Can you let me have 2 for $25?
Yeah.
And she says, "Yeah, I can. I said, "Perfect. We'll do it then." And then we went in the back and got dressed and took our pictures.
Nice.
But you don't understand that they actually took those pictures and now they're using them for promotional materials all across the country, and you agreed to that.
So they can, 100%. They
Old
point out to
Dutchman
you
mine,
that,
huh?
that they
Underground
can use your
tours.
images.
Well, at least underground means no sun.
And they keep them forever, which is really
Stairs.
creepy. So when I said to them, like, "Oh, what happens if somehow the email doesn't come through or the pictures aren't there?" And she says, "Don't worry, I can already see that the email's been received." She said, "But don't worry, they're here forever. We don't ever get rid of them." And I remember thinking, like, what the fuck? 20 years from now, I could come and be like, "I can't find my picture," and you'll look me up by name and pull it up. That's crazy. Okay, but for real, I'm gonna let you guys play.
All right, go get a VR headset for tomorrow and we can play.
Yeah, that money you saved on those photos would be plenty
Yeah.
enough to get another VR headset.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah,
right.
it's still not cheap enough here. It's still not cheap enough here. There's something crazy going on. So I've been watching all these marketplace. So CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, kind of like your NBCs and ABCs, like it's just all Canadian content. does this thing called CPC Marketplace, and basically they go out into the
Nice.
market and they like investigate certain things. And so they've been doing this investigative reporting for the past 2 months on the price variance between U.S. and Canada, and it's like it's astronomical. And it's not just on big items, like little items, like a toy set, like a fucking like a Hot Wheels toy set with like a little track that goes like around or something.
Yeah.
In the U.S., that would run you like $29.99, right?
Yeah.
In Canada, you can't get that cheaper than $59.99. So like it's just craziness. And then they were talking about cars. And so there's this guy who's like this professional car buyer. Like he goes to the U.S. and buys cars because you actually save, even with the exchange, you save about $10,000 on any given vehicle. Sometimes more when you're buying the expensive higher end cars. But now apparently all these car salesmen that are along the border are like trying to claim there's laws saying they can't sell to Canadian customers. Craziness. I don't know. There's something going on. Your Trump over there is fucking with us. Talking about how everything's so fucking awesome.
He's trying to get you. He's trying to indoctrinate people to come over or something.
Well, somehow all of his talk and nonsense is like totally like falsely inflating the American dollar. 100%. Your dollar is falsely inflated right now.
What you doing?
100%.
Chilling?
And it doesn't help us at all. Because we won't false inflate, so that's why our dollar looks so atrocious to yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You guys will work out. We'll be good. I feel like I'm fucking jonesing to play video games. I'm just gonna watch TV. If I turn on The Sims, I feel like I'll be on until like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
Uh-oh.
Kill 8 husbands yet?
No, what happened was I'm on my 3rd one, and for some reason, the 3rd one,
Gotcha.
remember how I told you it's I get the nannies? That's my tactic, is the nannies are all elders, so I hire a nanny to take care of the baby that I just made with my last husband, who's usually already croaked. And then the nanny comes in, and then I make a friendship, and then I'll be like, ooh, romance right away. And then if I don't let him go home from work and like disconnect from being employed from me, it fucks up the whole marriage thing. So I had this stupid guy who was my boyfriend, and we were engaged to get married, but every time we tried to get married, it would be totally improper for you to marry somebody in your employment. Dismiss him before you do this. And I'd be like, what the fuck? He's not in my employment.
So I'm sorry, I gotta fire you so we can get married.
Well, so no, then what I did was I told him I think we should just be friends.
Still works. Let's check it out.
And so I'm going to bring a new guy in and marry him instead, and then maybe if I marry him in the meantime, somehow it'll disconnect the thinking that guy works for me. I don't even think I'm going to move my new husband in. I'm just going to leave him living wherever.
I put the revolver there if you wanted it.
I'm convinced VR would make me sick, and it still costs $399.
A winch, huh?
Alright, looks like $199.
That'll come in handy.
No, I'm telling you, the difference in prices is craziness. Like, I would be better. I would better serve myself to go to the U.S. and buy one across the border and pay duties and exchange, and I would come out cheaper than what it cost me to buy it here.
Turn it off. Turn it off. Fuck! Here they come.
You can just fly with it home and say it's like your assistive visual aid.
I could buy it. Well, realistically, I could buy it, set it up, throw it in my suitcase, and be like, I travel with my console. I play video games. What the fuck? This is my console.
Yeah?
Or this is my VR. I travel with it. As long as I bring my console with me, then I could probably get away with it.
Guess what? They're not gonna say, show us your Canadian receipt.
No, but like it's so weird talking to stuff. So like I used to go to the States every year growing up, and we would always go like an empty suitcase, and you'd fill it with everything, like mom would get all her school clothes and like everything, right? It was like a insanely cheaper clothing. There's always been disparity between the pricing and how you guys managed to have things so much cheaper than us, but whatever. So we buy tons of shit that would cost like. I remember going to a $9.99 shoe store. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, we don't have a $9.99 shoe store. Sometimes they sell shoes for $10. Like, what is this world that I'm living in? And I would go and buy, like, fucking 5 pairs of shoes. Me, my sister, my mom, we'd all get a bunch of pairs of shoes to, like, last us a year. But then the funny part was we'd have to wear them while we were there. And if we didn't get a chance to wear them while we were there, on the second last day, my mom would make us, and my grandmother would make us all put on our whatever shoes we bought. We'd have to go out and stand on the driveway and scuff them off. Like,
wow.
Rub the bottoms to make sure they didn't look like they were just bought. And
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a total childhood memory, being asked to do that.
That's crazy.
Yep, it is. What
I'm
happened
surprised
to
at
my
one
voice?
point you would.
Oh, there it is. Never mind.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised at one point you didn't decide to move to the U.S. after some of that stuff you had to go through.
I don't know why my grandparents never had any interest in living there. They came from, I don't know why they never lived there. They spent like 6 months. They spent the maximum you could spend every year for my entire God-given life. There's like a max on the amount of time you can stay there. That's how long they would stay, and then they would come back. They were called, so we called them snowbirds. I don't know what you guys call us.
I didn't even know there's a word.
Canadians who travel to warm, seasonally warm destinations for the Canadian winter are known as snowbirds.
Huh.
That's the terminology we use for them. Yeah.
Lucy H., come to the mine.
Yeah, I don't think.
Perhaps you made it. Oh,
Yeah,
let's
I
find
can't think
out.
of if there's a term or anything that we would use for that.
Well, because I think you guys just are down there. Oh my God, I wanted to send you. Fuck. Well, we were at the falls. My kids kept going, "What's the sign? What does the sign mean?" I'm like, oh my God, because when you were like, "Oh, that sounds fun," I'm like, "Fuck, you have no idea how fucking cold this place is going to be at this time of year." So right when we walked into the hotel, there was a sign that said, fuck, where is it? So I remember thinking, like, holy fuck, this is hilarious. Oh. Dangerous freezing mist conditions. Please use extreme caution while on hotel property. So, because we were so close to the falls, quite frequently the spray from the falls, if we're in freezing conditions, can be like deadly. It like comes like daggers. Like you legitimately have to fucking be careful. Like legitimately. If it's a really windy day and it's freezing, you need to use caution while you're outside.
So you gotta walk out there with PPE. You got like a face shield and goggles and some thick leather electrical gloves.
Legitimately, yes, yes. Generally speaking, the people who happen to live in those
Alrighty
tourist
then.
destinations
Here goes.
would never ever venture out in those conditions. But unfortunately, tourists are forced to on a lot of occasions. That's why it's in the hotel lobbies, right, for the tourists, so they can understand how dangerous it is.
Dang,
Not
that's...
just be, like out there looking over the bridge, because the bridge is right across the street from them, and you can see the U.S. side and the Canadian side of the falls. So the U.S. side of the falls is called Horseshoe Falls. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the falls. So Horseshoe Falls is the American side, Niagara Falls is the Canadian side. And it's a huge hydro generation plant for obvious reasons. You guys have never seen the falls? Like even pictures?
And pictures,
People,
yeah.
like traveled over our falls in like barrels and shit. It's a big thing, like to try and stop people from doing it, because lots of people obviously lost their lives in these stupid little feats that they were trying to accomplish. People have built like mini submarines and things and tried to get over the falls
line
and
better
come
be
out
close.
successfully. I don't know why people are so obsessed with it.
Way too hot out here.
Right when they They can easily do that in Mexico. They don't need a submarine to swim across.
Here, let me send a pic. Oh, here, I can send you guys a picture and you can kind of see it. You can even see your horseshoe falls in the corner. Oh no, I can't send it that way. That's the wrong way. Cancel. Oh wait. I'll cut it that way. And then I'll send it. I literally think I only took this picture for you guys because I know what the falls looks like. And I have seen it a million fucking times. I'm like, oh, today's nice. It looks good. I should do this picture. So you can see falls dropping off on the right side of the picture. Those are the Canadian.
Detroit. American.
I don't
8
know.
degrees
Hey, Google.
Celsius.
Do you know what it is?
Well, 0
30, I
is
think,
32.
or like 28.
0 is 30. So it might be close to 4. Hey, Google. Google. Hey, Google. What's 8 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit?
8 degrees Celsius equals 46.4 degrees Fahrenheit.
46.
That's cold.
Well, it was nice, actually. It was, like, balmy compared to our first fucking day out there, where it was about -2 everywhere you went. And the windy conditions did not make it any better, and it was raining, and it was miserable.
That picture looks neat.
I tried to take a good one for you guys. I couldn't go down to the falls so you could see the drop of the falls, but I think the falls are like 100, I don't know how many feet. I always find it so bizarre that Americans have no knowledge of certain landmarks that seem to be significant to me, not just because they're Canadian. Because, like, Horseshoe Falls, I think, is a pretty significant American landmark as well, because it's a huge hydro generation plant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm just an energy nerd, and I think that hydro generation is super cool, and that somehow is significant, but it's, like, not to anybody else but me.
Hello? Hello? Anyone there? Fred, are you in there?
I guess they don't like,
People
I
were here
don't know, like,
recently.
no one tries to instill, like,
Might still
traveling,
be around somewhere.
like, with us.
Well, and you guys always travel
Oh,
to,
yeah,
like,
baby.
hot places,
Grenades.
I find. Like,
These'll
mostly
come in
probably because you're
handy.
Texan. And I don't think you want to encounter anything colder than what you're used to.
Yeah, anyway, I'll stand behind that.
Hey, I don't blame you. I think the only reason that I'm willing to go and, like, go to any climate is because I live in them all.
Princess, how did you put the mask on?
I put it, like, right on my face, but I forgot which button I was pressing.
Oh, you have to press a button?
Yeah.
Like, so, crazy, like, okay, so I know you've traveled, but, like, have you ever skied?
No, that was one of the next things I wanted to do.
Okay, so if you're gonna ski, and you're gonna travel to do it, well, I guess you can either stay local and go Vermont, or you can go to BC, which is where you should really go. And I would suggest you go to Banff, save your money, book an awesome trip, and go to Banff. And there's really fucking mind-blowing things to see out there. Like spectacular visuals, like with their mountains and lakes and stuff.
Okay.
it's just a huge community of snowboarders and skiers out there. Like, that's what that community is.
Yeah.
That's where my cousins and shit go. Like, and they're your age, that's where they go to ski and snowboard and shit. When they want
Yeah, because I was
to
thinking,
trip.
like, I think I was told to do Tennessee or, like, New Mexico.
Really?
They're snowing. They're skiing in Tennessee.
Was it Tennessee? I forgot, like, one of Danny's friends was trying to get us to go out there.
Oh, really?
Because I feel like there's not
Yeah.
snow in either, like, I'm feeling like geography.
All right, I need to get through here.
Right now. I feel like
Let's
I'm
see.
not aware of Tennessee having... Okay, so if you go to either one of those places,
Well,
you're
this
not
ain't
going
working.
to a place where people go to
I'm gonna
eat
need
that
more
shit.
punch.
That's what I was gonna say.
Let's see what we can work with.
Like, if you're
Okay.
gonna go and ski or snowboard for the first time, I would go somewhere impressive, because it's quite likely you might never do it again.
Yeah.
So make it a fucking awesome trip. That's what I would say. And to me, the best place to do that is in Banff, Alberta. Which actually isn't even BC.
Makes sense.
It's the best place you can go, honestly. People in Canada, like, so I have literally not been out there yet. I've just been able to, like, see it through my friends and my cousins' videos and pictures. But it's one of those places, like, it's 100% on my bucket list. And it's not even to go to ski. It's to go to see, like, Lake Louise and these amazing landmarks that they have that are just visually spectacular. That every single person who shows me the pictures says,
Did
"Let
it
me
put
just
the
tell
mask
you that
on?
this picture
Am I wearing
doesn't
that
do it
mask?
justice."
Do I have like
No.
the... I don't? Wait, hold on. How about now? Did it just fly behind me?
Yeah, you just threw it.
Where the hell did it go?
It's funny. I feel like you would totally want to ski Crazy Eyes, but love, what's your take on that?
Nah, not a big skier. Not
Yeah, I
really.
had a feeling you were like, yeah, no care for it.
Not really.
I would do I would do snowboarding, but what was it? What ski resort had that malfunction with like the what do you call that thing that takes you up to the mountain?
The chairlift?
The chairlift. Yeah.
Chairlift.
Have you seen that video where it's like it went haywire and so it just kind of like it sped up and it was flinging people off of it?
Okay, so those
Like-
things are rare. They're rare, those incidents. Like,
I know it's rare,
I've been on 100 ski lifts in my life, probably more. I have never ever been in a ski lift incident. The only ski lift incident I had where somebody couldn't get off the lift in time and they literally just like stop the lift and take you off and then they get it going again. Because it's the timing. The lift never stops. So the
Yeah.
way the lift works is you literally stand there and then it just catches you from behind and you're seated, right? And then it takes you up to the top of the hill. And then when you get to the top of the hill, it doesn't stop again. You've just got to kind of like pop yourself off and the chair goes away back down the hill. So there's lots of room for error and accidents, but like that freak accident of like an actual malfunction with the mechanics of the chairlift, I think that shit's rare.
So I'm gonna throw a grenade if I can figure it out. How do you do that?
But like there's a really scary movie where these kids go fucking skiing. Oh my god, I want to know what it's called. And they go on a chairlift and they're on the chairlift and while they're going up to the top of the hill, the ski resort shuts down, not realizing they're on the chairlift, which is of course totally far-fetched because that would never happen. And they're sitting on this chairlift and of course it's like -20 and it's pitch black. They've shut off all the lights on the run and then wolves start gathering below the... It's fucking insane. It's the scariest movie I've ever seen and it grosses me out in so many ways.
There we go. Grenade.
It'll make you never want to go on a chairlift or go up a hill
Kaboom!
on a ski resort ever.
On my way.
Really?
Parasailing, Crazy Eyes?
Nuh-uh.
No, it sounds like you don't have any interest either.
No, I would like to try it, but I just
Nice view.
like lately I've just been dumping my money in video
Here's a
games and I
gift
should
shop.
stop.
Oh.
So thirsty out there, fridge is stocked.
No, wait a second. How old are you?
29.
Oh, fuck. You're getting old.
Ha!
Sorry, crazy eyes.
No, you're telling me.
As soon as anyone gets to that 29 mark, I'm like, holy fuck, you're almost at the 30 mark. You're getting old.
Thanks.
It's not old, but you're getting old. Because usually when someone says, like, oh, I gotta stop buying video games, I'm like, oh, no, you don't. How old are you? And if they say, like, 20-something, I'm like, oh, fuck that. You got another year or two.
No, like when my budget's starting to going up to like 400 to 500 games a month, I was like, I could be doing other shit that's a lot cooler than
really underpaid
just having
or
something
really
sit in the closet.
Do you live on your own, or do you live...
No, well, I had to move back. I had to move with my folks
You had to?
because
Renting?
it was getting too expensive.
I don't know what your market is out there. Love, do you own or do you rent?
Nope, I rent. Might as well own for what I'm paying in rent.
Oh, what's your rent?
With just the rent by itself? Or
Yeah,
all
rent
the,
by itself first.
like $13.60.
There were definitely people here.
And how
Let's
big
look
is your
around.
place?
Not very.
I find something useful.
Small size apartment.
Like one bedroom, one bathroom, and an area to like eat and dwell in.
Pretty much got a living room, small dining room, bedroom, bathroom.
That's not bad. And then wait a sec, what are your utilities like?
Water and electricity, about almost $200 a month.
Huh. A lever.
And everything else.
Looks like this thing controls the
incidentals,
mine doors.
Not much.
That's not terrible. Wait a second, hold on. You don't use
Guess I should
fuel?
follow the power
I
line.
use what?
Like you guys. So, sir, is your home electrically okay? So you guys don't. Need
I have
heat out there.
gas
Hold on.
and
Just trying to
electric.
wrap my house around your climate. My head around your climate. You have what?
I have gas and
You have
electric.
gas.
Gas is usually about $30 to $40 a month. Electric is usually about $110, and then water is.
So you do have gas. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not terribly expensive for what this area is. The rent's gone up every year in this area. And it depends. At
We
one
have rent
point,
control in Canada.
really? Because I wish I had that.
They had to. About, I guess, I don't know, about maybe 10 years ago, the Renters Tribunal, we have like some pretty serious systems in place to protect to protect tenants and to protect the owners and tenants, right?
Mhm.
But you can't, there's rules.
No, this area
There's rules.
of the state is like super popular right now. So all the housing and rent, everything is in demand.
Well,
Not
what's
really.
Skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Landlords were removing people from, so landlords were increasing rent, and the tenants would say, I can't afford that increase, and they would increase it like $1,000 a month. Like, we're not talking small increases. And they would know those people couldn't afford the increases, so then those people would have to give notice and leave, and then they'd bring somebody else in that would pay that. It's like a
Oh,
scam,
shit.
right? Because then you get all these affluent people in and all these people who need housing. So anyways, it created a housing crisis.
I would say that's almost like what's going on here.
It's all rich people that can afford it and nobody else.
Unless you had like a relative that owned a home, like back in the 90s and 80s, they're gonna sell it. Like that was almost my case a couple months ago. But my folks didn't tell me that one of our relatives was selling a house like south central Austin, and they sold it for like I think $80,000.
What?
Nice. Hey, did I change masks?
You did change
But
masks.
that's not nice.
Kinda newsy.
Couldn't you have done something with that?
Yeah, I definitely could have got it on my own, and definitely would have been able to, you know, afford the payments. It wasn't a big house, but it would be enough just for me.
Yeah, and I think most people just need to get in the market. That's the catch, is for almost everybody out there, in no matter what fucking country you're living in, getting in the market is half the battle. Because once you're in the market, you're pretty safe. Like, unless you're an idiot, most people are responsible enough to stay in the market.
Hmm.
But if you get into the market and you get out, you're fucked. I think I've already told you my sister did that.
Oh, there's a guy here.
And she can't get back in. the market's so out of control, she can't afford to get back in. She got in it when it was a good time, and then she had to sell because she was splitting from her ex, and neither one of them can get back into the market. I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots.
I just never wanted to invest all of my money or feel locked into a mortgage, but I should have done that when I was younger.
Well, especially like, you know, back in the early 2000s or 90s, man. Especially like that's an investment at this point. What houses are going for?
All right.
So I scored because I bought my house in 2009, and I paid $195,000 for it.
Jeez.
And it's worth. I guess that sounds expensive, doesn't it?
That's pretty
Yeah.
expensive.
Does that sound expensive?
Well, here
Okay,
it
so
probably
that
would have
was-
been like a little above average, because when I was really thinking about what I was going to do, most houses in this city were between $100,000 and $200,000 for what I would call nicer houses. Older houses, like stuff from the 70s, definitely under that, like maybe $75,000. And
Okay,
you could
so
still
my house
find
was
older
built
houses.
in 1995.
Yeah.
My house is a slightly newer house. It was built in 95. Got 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, basement, living, dining, kitchen. I don't know. It's like 1,600 square feet. Can you guys handle square feet? I'm like, wait a second. You
Blind
probably
man
don't know
could
what
have
the fuck I'm
spotted this
saying.
power line. Or
No, we know my
tripped.
square feet.
Okay. But now it's worth about 628,000.
Jeez.
10 years later, but that's because the market's out of control. Like, it's not, to me, it's not a healthy market because nobody can afford to get into it. And so now your down payments, so you have to have a 20% down payment to even enter the market, period, the end. No one will even speak to you unless you have a 20% down payment. So obviously 20% on like $1 million home, which is pretty much all the homes, is a big chunk of change for your average individual.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Most people don't have it. So what's going on now is you've got all these people that are hanging on to houses longer than they would, or not selling and buying something else because they're established in the market and have the money, and keeping those houses for their kids.
Yeah.
I've already told my kids, it's likely they'll be living here for the rest of their God-given life. Enjoy it, love it, and
Nice.
respect it.
Because there's
No.
the keys in here.
You can grab them, right?
No, only you can.
You wouldn't buy at this point, would you, Lev?
No, that's not what I'm thinking of for my future.
Are you just gonna rent for? I know I had friends. I had a friend whose dad rented for his entire life and always rented, and still to this day he rents, and he swears by it. He says it costs him far less than his friends have spent in the same like 30 years owning homes. I just don't like not having anything at the end of the day. I'm like, yeah, but if you decide to leave this apartment tomorrow,
That's
you have
true.
nothing.
You're really not investing in owning it, but where I live compared to what it is now was far away from the main city. I like the area. It was not a cheap part of town, and it was quieter. Now it's kind of not that anymore. They're building a lot more out here. It's super trafficy just as much as every part of the city is. And it's not really as far out as it used to be when I moved out here. That was
Because the city's creeping out, right?
Yeah,
It's just the same
yeah.
way I am, where I'm surrounded by shit now. They're supposed to build an airport up the fucking road from me, and I keep like going like, what? I don't want a fucking
Oh
airport.
no.
They've been talking about it for 20 fucking years, and so apparently the councilors took it off the table 10 years ago, and then it got put back on the table 2 years ago because someone was like, oh, the airport's canceled. I'm like, no, it's not. Go fucking look at our municipal website. It's on the table for 2020. They still want it.
Oh, nice.
It's not fucking going anywhere. And I don't know what that does to my home value. Like, I really don't understand what kind of an impact, and I don't think anybody will know until it's built and operational, the impact it has on the surrounding community.
I'd be curious about the noise pollution.
Yeah, like, I mean, it would be far enough away from me. Yeah, I would still hear, it would still be close enough that I would hear a plane land and take off, though. That's how close it is.
Check it out, a key. Nice.
Was it,
But at the same token, I have a feeling it would increase property values just because you would have people that would want to be close to the airport, especially with these fucking upper echelon business people that are traveling all over the place every day.
right?
That want to
You would
live
have-
2 minutes. Yeah. But again, I don't think I'm ever going to be in a position to like sell and re-enter the market. How crazy it is! Like no matter what, like every time I talk about it, I'm like, okay, so yeah, I'll sell my house for maybe $1 million 10 years from now. Then where the fuck am I going to go? Everything is going to cost that kind of money. So it's not like I would be making anything off the deal. I would just be changing locations. That's all I'm getting. Who cares? Katie, you're getting pissed at me. I fucked up.
That girl's a motorcycle helmet on? Paintball on her? Oh, they keep her from getting her head shot off. What the heck? Looks like she has a bowl of fruit in her head.
Right? Yeah, no, I was kind of bummed out when I found out about it. Apparently, some other relative, like, I don't know how they found out that the house was for
I
sale.
just want to say, you know, this
But
tour,
it was
so
like,
much fun.
it was the father
really
ended up
enjoying
buying it for his
myself.
daughter who was staying in South Africa.
What?
Oh.
So she doesn't live here. She just, and what she did with it, she just rents it out for like $1,500 a month.
What? That's not fair. So, like, she got it as an investment property from someone in your family when you could use a place to, like, start your life? That's shitty.
Yeah. And, with the 1,500, and it's not even a huge house. Like, I want to say it might have been like 800 square feet.
Is it a fully detached home?
Say it again? Oh, no, I think it has an outdoor garage.
Crazy Eyes, do you want this
Yeah, but I
little
mean, is the
machine
home,
gun?
like, fully detached? Like, it's not a townhome or a semi-detached, which means 2 houses are in one structure, right? And, like,
Mhm.
do you guys have that stuff out there?
You mean like duplexes?
Fully detached means it's one building and the whole everything inside the one building is your home.
I guess it's
Yeah,
like,
that's
yeah.
fully attached.
How the fuck
It's
can
fully
you have
attached.
a fully detached that's only 800 square feet? My god, it must be like a little cabin.
It was built in the 60s, I think.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All
So-
right, let's get the
It's,
power back
it's
up.
pretty old.
So there's this area of town here, Crystal, called Terrytown. And
Okay.
all the houses are
Looks
really
like that
old.
did the trick.
But the whole neighborhood is kind of like considered like nobody messes with the houses is what I should say. Like they leave them the way they are. They're all nice houses. They've been, updated, but they're
What
So
do
nobody-
we call those? We call those century homes around here.
so those
What?
houses, for being what they are, they're like $1 million houses, but they're tiny little houses. And the whole thing is that area is considered like, a nice, rich neighborhood. Even though who would pay $1 million for a house like that? That's what I always feel. Like I could live in Kyle or Buda and have like 5 times the
So
amount
we
of
have
floor
some
space.
We have neighborhoods like that around here that are kind of like, it's almost like stepping back in time. Even when you go through their town, it'll be like cute little quaint boutiques and shops, right? And the homes themselves will be worth well over $1 million. But the crazy part is that the homes will be over 100 years old. That's why they're called century homes. But people just want it. It's like a status thing. Oh, I live in Bowmanville. Oh wow, do you live in a century home? Oh yeah, I do. Like it's nonsense. My aunt's mother had one for many years, and it was really nice. And like, I mean, if you're into architecture and the details and the woodworking of those homes, some of them are absolutely beautiful. But if you're not into antiques and woodworking and all that shit, who the fuck cares?
What was it? Well, love, what would you say the square footage of your apartment is?
I don't know. Compared to where I used to live, it's not even close. And where I used to live was like 1,100 square feet, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty big. 1,100 square feet.
Well, where I used to live was very nice. That's why I live there.
Oh. But how crazy was rent
There
there
goes
compared
nothing.
to where you are?
So that would have been like 10 years ago, and it was more than what I'm paying right now. At that time,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So
Bad feeling
at that
about
time, it
this.
was brand new, and half of them were condos, and half of them were like
Shut up!
really
Damn
nice.
it, Dutchman, shut up!
I
Now every
remember.
Fred in the neighborhood is gonna hear you. Turn it off, turn it off.
That's crazy.
Depends. I mean, honestly, this is a small place, but for what I'm paying now, I could probably rent a house in the city. But I don't want to live in the parts of the city where I could rent a house for this
Here they
price.
come.
Yeah.
Well, and what are you getting? Do you really need more space? Like,
Not really. Not for what I do, which is fine. It would be different.
No, 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 no. You're not
like,
getting me today, pal.
That entire weekend up in that loft apartment, which is literally just a huge room that's kind of like got like, you know, spaces within the room to do different things. But when we were leaving, I said to the kids, like, you know, we could totally live in a space.
Right?
Like, just keep in mind that we don't need the whole house that we have. Like, be grateful.
That was pretty crazy. I made it.
There's people
I made
who
it.
live in fucking 10 times
Let's
more
go.
people than we do in
Come on.
fucking places, spaces.
You could move to
One of my
Detroit.
neighbors live in the same house as me, and they've got, like, everybody around me has massive numbers of people in these houses, and I'm like, how are you not tripping over each other? Like, me and my 2 kids feel cramped, and you're in the same space with 6 adult bodies. I've got 1 adult and 2 kids, and I feel cramped. There's people in here with fucking like 4 adult kids and 2 adults. Like, I'm just like, that's insane.
There are like some, like where I live, there's some homes. I think they're around like the 1,100 square foot to 1,500 square foot, and because of how crazy rent is.
Ha ha ha.
Have your kids in dance, and you've bought a home with 4 other families. Sir, you live in a community house? What the fuck is that? So a bunch of these broke-ass families got together and bought $1.5 million home, and they like suctioned it off, and all these families all live together in one house that's supposed to be for one family. And it's not like they're poor people either. Like, I find people you wouldn't expect to. That's why I had to
Okay,
not
well,
make a face.
it is
Like,
really dark.
people you don't expect are living in those weird living situations.
Was it man, I think I was trying to figure out my mortgage rate if I was able to get that home, and I'd probably be paying like $300 to $400 if I was putting money aside for escrow to pay for property taxes at the end of the year.
Sorry, your property taxes are only $400 a year?
No, they're like for that area it would be $1,500 a year.
My property taxes are $2,200 a year. $3,200 a year. It's crazy. And I do not have a big piece of land, let me tell you. It is mostly housed. That's crazy. I don't know. So, like, what are your mortgage rates like? Like, what do you guys do? Like, you guys do amortization, right? Like, what's your max amortization that you can do?
I'm not too sure on that.
So, like, in Canada, they made a law when you guys had all your crazy shit hit the fan. The maximum amortization anybody can get in Canada is 20 years. So if you can't afford the payments at the 20-year amortization with the interest rate, then you just don't get into the market, which really makes it even like so. On top of the down payment, on top of all of that, there's all these other fucking things that aren't helpful. But my mortgage is really squat. I think I've told you guys it's like $450 every 2 weeks. That's my mortgage.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, for the money that I'm making right now, I think for me to get a home, I would have to move to Pittsburgh. That would be the market that I'd fit in, is Pittsburgh.
You could go to
And
Detroit.
you work for Texas Instruments. What do you work? Wait, who do you work for? Texas.
Trillium.
Trillium. Who's that?
It's just like I wouldn't say a third party. It's just a company that just overhauls and manufactures cryogenic vacuum pumps.
Okay.
Have you ever considered going to Detroit? Crystal reminded me that earlier. Detroit had this major foreclosure issue going on where they were buying, or not buying, foreclosing on all these properties in the kind of like the urban
They're
section.
also in the middle of a revitalization,
Yes.
too.
So this is what's
It's
happening.
a hot spot to
They
go.
auctioned all those properties online, and you could bid and to see what you could get, and you would own the property. But you had to pay the taxes, which was why most of them got foreclosed on, because the property taxes went up so much on those properties that most of the older people that lived there couldn't afford them anymore.
Had to go. Yeah,
So they had to
that
go.
was kind of sad.
So
They
they were
pushed
auctioning them
out.
online, and a lot of those places just got cleared out, and now it's like...
They had to push them out, love, to fucking make that revitalization.
That's exactly
happen.
right. They wanted people to come
Like,
back
it's
to the
sad.
city, to work
Yeah.
and shop in the city, because everything was just so far out of the city. But yeah, those properties were like super cheap. You could buy a house with land, like a half acre, for like $4,000. I'm not even kidding.
No, you know what? No. You know what? Like, what was it? Top Gear was doing an episode, not Top Gear. Was it GT Grand Touring? They did an All American Muscle like car episode, and they were joking around about, you know, in Detroit, you could call it Muscle City. They were joking around about like how they could afford a home with I don't know, with something or something like that, and they ended up buying a house in Detroit. The guy was like, "Yeah, we got this, like, I think it was like 2,500 square foot or something like that, or 3,000 square foot, 2-story house, 2-car garage for like $4,000."
The property tax is high, and there's not a lot of fruitful... You just have to live in Detroit, though. Who wants to live in Detroit?
Yeah. That part kind of sucks. But no, love, that revitalization, like if you've watched anything about what's going on in Detroit right now, it's not going to be the Detroit that everybody remembers. It's already not the Detroit that everybody remembers, right? Like, it's changed. I remember when we used to drive through Detroit, my fucking dad, if he had to stop to fucking go somewhere, he would be like, lock the doors,
Lock
don't
the
look at anybody,
doors.
keep your head down, I'll be back in a minute. I remember being terrified when we had to stop in Detroit.
Are we going to call it a night on this one? You want to switch games?
We can switch games. I was getting stuck on that shaft. I couldn't go through.
That sucked. No, it just kept telling me not to separate from the other players if I wanted to live.
I couldn't move forward. I'm gonna try it one more time. Let's see if it just recorrects. If it corrects it.
No, we can try another game if you
Interesting.
want to. It's up to you.
I'll play a little bit more of this real quick, so I want to see what that shaft does. Yeah, I thought that was really funny though. Like, I think me and a buddy from work were talking about, you know, the housing market, because he's splitting up with his girl, and he's talking about like getting his own place, but he was like, it's so expensive, and he wants to be close to home, and just in case he has to pick up the kids, that he was looking into these. It was kind of college. What are they called? Like a college apartment dorm setup.
Oh, really?
Where it's 4 rooms. Each room has its own bathroom, but there's like a central living space that's shared. It's the living
Shared
room and the kitchen.
space, yeah. That's typical. You have those
And
over here, too.
his rent was going to be like $700 a month.
But that's because he's taking the hit on you and on having a shared space with strangers potentially. But it's worth it if you're not somebody who's fucking cooking meals in the kitchen every day. Like, I don't know how old this guy is. I don't know what his lifestyle is like. But if he's somebody who's not frequently in a kitchen cooking meals, then who gives a fuck if that's a shared space?
Mm-hmm.
I lived in a place like that when I was a teenager. I didn't like it. Like, when I first left home when I was 18, I went and lived in a place like that. I couldn't stand it. It just felt weird.
Yep.
Just not knowing who I was going to encounter in the common space.
Yeah.
I just didn't. I think as a female, maybe it's more uncomfortable. Maybe for a male, it's like, no big deal, but it was just awkward.
No, I've heard like crazy stories from like male tenants or like male roommates.
I literally lived in my room. I never left it because it just felt uncomfortable when I was outside of it. Like, the room was my space. I could shut the door and I knew nobody was going to come in there, so that's where I spent all my time.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I left the room, it was to completely leave the house. I wasn't going to go fucking sit somewhere in a space that somebody else might be that I didn't know.
Gotcha. Now, I'd say for like my situation, for like all the stuff that I have, I'd feel really uncomfortable to have roommates.
No, absolutely. For sure. If I was you with all that fucking shit, absolutely.
And then I wouldn't feel comfortable like leaving 5 motorcycles out in like one parking space
Right.
if they would let me do that.
No, but see, that's why you totally need to start, like, I would stir crazy. I think I was 29. It's fucked up. I was living in a basement apartment. I had Katie. She was almost 2. And I was just starting to go crazy that every time I wanted to do something, it felt like we had to pack up the whole fucking house and get in the car and go somewhere. I just hated that I couldn't just be like, let's go into the backyard or let's go do this, because the backyard wasn't my space. It was the upstairs people's space. I was in the basement apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me crazy. And then I came to my mom's house one day, and we had been like looking at houses, but everything was crazy overpriced, even though the market was supposed to be good. I couldn't find anything that was in my price range. That was like this one place we looked at had 2 bedrooms and a bath. Park on the street? No, the street's no parking. Okay, next house.
That's, yeah.
Like, literally, we went into the house, looked at it, and one of the rooms that we opened up, and it was a 2-bedroom, we opened up one of the rooms, and it literally had a twin bed in the room, and it was the size. And then I drove to my mom's house one day, and there was a for sale sign on one of the townhouses, and I was like, oh, that's weird. So I called up my real estate agent who happened to be my cousin, and I'm like, hey, I just came to my mom's place, and there's a townhouse for sale. And he's like, oh, there is? Give me a couple minutes, I'll call you back. I'm like, okay. He calls me back 5 minutes. He's like, we're looking at it tomorrow. It just fell through on conditions, and the bank is about to take it over. So it was literally, it was like a miracle. So we showed up the next day to look at the house, and it was absolutely filthy and disgusting, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely atrocious. We were told not to take off our shoes when we entered the house. I remember this to this day, and I remember thinking,
Okay, well, it is really dark.
Don't take off my shoes. So then we walked into the kitchen, and the crazy part was the woman still lived here with her kids. The husband and her were already on such bad terms that they couldn't be in the same spaces at the same time. When we walked into this house, this woman and her 2 kids were sitting at the kitchen table having something to eat. And so, again, she comes and says, don't take off your shoes. And then she goes back to the table and does her thing. And so, like, my cousin starts walking around the house.
Shit.
And we go into
Yeah,
the
I can't
kitchen,
go forward.
And as soon as we stepped
Alright,
into
that's enough
the
on this
kitchen,
game.
you could hear, like, this smacking noise. Like, so you know how when you go into movie theaters sometimes when they have or even like a stadium, and like that painted
It's all sticky and